Clamp down on labor cost with coverage budgets. The delicate balance between staffing adequately and overstaffing can make or break your business. Because labor cost is by far the greatest expenditure in most industries, controlling excess staffing is important. However, understaffing can be just as critical. Avoid the higher overtime costs, production problems, and regulatory problems that can be caused by understaffing with coverage budgets. Coverage budgets help you to maintain that balance between over and understaffing by providing labor ratios tailored especially for your organization. This powerful information gives management staff the tools they need to intelligently schedule beforehand, as well as handle any emergent problems. For example, in healthcare, there are industry standards that determine the number of doctors, nurses, and other medical staff that must be available per patient. Scheduling too many registered nurses can be expensive, but scheduling too few can be disastrous. By determining a budget, scheduling to that budget, and making any changes necessary on the fly to maintain important ratios, administrators can control costs while providing the best care. In the hotel industry, keeping costs down means having just enough staff to serve guests, clean rooms, and answer the telephone. When fewer rooms are booked, the number of staff needed goes down. Keeping a consistent level of staff every day is a poor business decision when the number of guests fluctuates significantly. In this example, the budget manager can go to the budget entry screen to type in a number of labor hours to expend for April. This can just as easily be budget dollars or another figure. Typically, April requires 650 labor hours at this location, and those 650 hours are distributed across the workdays, in this case, Monday through Friday. Let's boost the number of hours needed for Fridays to 32, since Friday hours are extended. When a change is made to one day, the remaining unedited days are budgeted proportionally fewer hours. The top of each day shows the actual, budgeted, and scheduled labor hours, as well as the difference between the actual hours and the budgeted hours, and the difference between the scheduled hours and the budgeted hours. When scheduling, it is important to keep the number of scheduled hours as close as possible to the budgeted hours. On Monday, 5.5 fewer hours are scheduled than budgeted. We need to add another employee to cover those hours, or the employees on the short-staffed day may be forced to work expensive overtime. You can see how these types of costs can add up for larger and larger groups of employees. However, any size organization can benefit from coverage budgets. I schedule Austin, and the figures at the top are changed accordingly. After a day has passed, I can analyze how closely the budget was followed. In this example, on April 9th, 1.5 hours less than budgeted were actually worked. I can also keep an eye on the correlation between paid time off and overtime, or understaffing and overtime. Or I can change the date range to see aggregate information. What can coverage budgets do for your organization? Ask your Attendance on Demand representative. A deep understanding of your business, staffing, and regulatory requirements can help us craft ratios, reports, and scheduling views to capture the information you need to control labor costs.